last click attribution is dead. If you're still using last click to measure success in 2025, you're not just behind, you're flying blind. Last click is outdated, and if you're making decisions off of it, you're almost guaranteed to cut the wrong campaigns and overcredit the wrong channels. It's like giving 100% of the credit for a championship win to the player who scored the final goal. Wow. I'm picturing Messi. Alrighty, well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why last click is broken, what better brands are doing instead, and how we help our clients at White Label build smarter attribution models across Google, Meta, and every channel that they rely on to scale. Well, let's kick it off. So customers don't just buy after one click, or do they? I mean, nobody sees one ad and instantly buys, right? Especially if you're selling something over $50. Today's customer journey crosses 5, 10, sometimes 20 plus touch points across multiple platforms. And it even gets crazier if you're in, retail, like you're in Walmart's, if you're on billboards, doing traditional TV, influencer outreach and whatnot. But an example, right? You have a YouTube ad, then you have a meta retargeting ad, you have a site visit, you have a branded search that then led to the purchase. So big issue with last click, and this is the problem, it ignores every step but the last, just like its namesake. Now, what it does is it's going to attribute all the credit for the conversion to the last touch point before the conversion, right? So this approach really oversimplifies the customer journey by ignoring all previous interactions that may have actually influenced the decision to become a paying customer. It overlooks the entire funnel, such as awareness, consideration touch points, which can lead to really undervaluing important marketing channels or tactics that play a critical role earlier in the conversion path, right? This can, and it does, result in skewed data and misguided marketing decisions. I've seen it all the time, right, with my agency, where marketers are gonna wanna underinvest in specific channels to actually initiate or assist that prospect to become a customer. So as marketers, we have tools at our disposal that can leverage AI, machine learning, to give us a more nuanced view of this. So please don't drop the ball here, right? Now, heck, feel free to do what you want, okay? I'm not telling you not to use last click. I guarantee if you do, you'll pause top of funnel campaigns and then wonder why sales tank next month, right? It's not my advice. Do not recommend doing that. So even Google ditched last click, right? Google knew that last click couldn't keep up with how customers are actually shopping. That's why they made data-driven attribution the default now and started rolling it out in 2021 to see how advertisers were adopting it, right? Myself included. They wanted a future-proof measurement and give advertisers better data to feed into their AI and machine learning models, right? So let's hop into it really quick. What does DDA do, data-driven attribution? So 1, it's going to track every touch point across the customer journey. 2, it gives each interaction credit based on its actual contribution to the conversion, not just the last one, not just the first one. Each DDA model is in fact unique to the advertiser, right? It uses your conversion data to calculate the actual contribution of each ad interaction across the conversion path, right? So with data-driven attribution, your YouTube and display campaigns, the ones that are really driving demand at top of the funnel, finally get the credit they deserve. It's also Google's way of encouraging brands to invest more into video and upper funnel formats, because now they can actually see the impact those campaigns are having, and it's getting better over time, right? So I challenge your Google reps, right? To give you more data or to help you better understand the customer journey and how those top of funnel events and channels like YouTube, your demand gen, are actually leading into conversions and overall bringing up revenue for your Google Ads account. Now, last click ignores cross-channel influence, and that's a pretty big deal. So here's the thing, no platform works in a silo anymore, right? Your customers don't just live in one place. They're constantly bouncing between Meta, TikTok, email, Google, YouTube, and even influencers before they make a purchase. So what does last click do wrong? Like I said before, it's crediting the very last click within the same platform. So if you don't care if someone saw you on YouTube, then clicked the meta ad, then searched your brand name on Google, that entire discovery process, last click ignores it. So at White Labeled, we constantly cross-check performance across channels using tools like Triple Whale, who we're partnered with. This is not a paid ad. This is not a sponsored YouTube video. I'm just genuinely trying to provide value on attribution, and Triple Whale is a really good tool, right? So if you're only looking at last click inside Google Ads, you're missing how much Meta, TikTok, and your email program are actually doing to fuel the fire. And that's more money in your pocket. So the smartest brands aren't asking which platform gets credit, right? They're asking what role does each channel play in getting that sale. The shift changes everything about how you spend and scale. That's why at White Labeled, we optimize for MER, right? A marketing efficiency ratio. So what we're looking at is the total spend across your channels and the total revenue, right? And we're trying to see that ratio and whether it's getting better over time, because that reflects the whole picture, not just what Google wants to show. So I talked about last click, why I think it's dead, talked about data-driven attribution, right? And I talked about multi-channel. Like, we're not just advertising on Google. We're not just advertising on Meta. We're trying to buy attention. And in order to do that, you need to be on the platform that your customers are constantly on. So we could get our brand, our offer in front of them, right? And then follow them throughout their journey with very relevant messaging and a very compelling offer. So what do we use instead of last click? To me, the answer is pretty simple. You're going to want to use multi-touch attribution. And the reason the move is to multi-touch attribution is it's going to give partial credit to every touch point based on real influence. So like Google's data-driven attribution, that's an in-platform attribution model to help Google Ads algorithm better understand what's influencing a conversion, right? So you could have real-time, very fast feedback to the system and get better cost per conversions over time and a higher return on ad spend. So multi-touch attribution, now this is when you take a step out and we're looking at multiple channels, right? Multiple touches. So MTA reveals what drives first touch awareness, right? Whether it was that meta ad, whether it was that influencer, what brings people back into the funnel? Was it your abandoned cart email, right? And what actually closes the deal? Was someone in the consideration phase actually doing a Google search, comparing your product to another, right? We see that all the time. So what actually closes the deal? Now, this is where Triple Whale shines, as I brought up earlier. It's going to pull Shopify data and it ties directly to your marketing channels. Google, Meta, TikTok, email, real cross-platform performance in one place. So here's a pro tip, right? MTA is not perfect. However, it is 10 times smarter than last click. If you're only looking at last click, you are flying blind. Now, for big budgets, add marketing mix modeling to the picture, right? So once you're spending over, I mean, you can do this at $250 a month, but once you're over 500 to 5 million, that's where MTA might have some blind spots. And that's where you're gonna start questioning more your tactics, right? And your channels. So that's when a marketing mix model does come in. So what does it do, right? It's gonna look at total spend across all channels. It's going to handle more custom data inputs, right? It's going to use more statistical modeling. It's going to track revenue movement over time. No click required. Whoa. And then it's also going to show how each channel drives incremental value, right? Some platforms actually will show you like, hey, invest more over here. This is the incremental gain over time based off of this data, right? Now, this is where some brands get confused. They hear MMM and they think it's the only answer. It's not, right? Like I mentioned before, Triple Whale has a solution that sits right in the middle between MTA and MMM, and it's called their total impact attribution model. And this is giving you the best of both worlds without needing a team of data scientists. So what does total impact do? It combines actual click-based data with revenue trends. It weights credit across channels based on both attribution and broader media mix signals. It's going to capture a wide range of data points, including survey data, website visits, and email interactions. It's going to provide a faster feedback loop for you than a traditional MMM. So we typically work with brands on both ends of the spectrum. Some are needing to scale fast and need real-time clarity. So that's where Triple Whale comes in. And then others are more mature and need to tie performance back to bigger picture investments like influencer partnerships, TV, or retail. That's where a more custom solution comes into play. Not to say they aren't getting there, right? So what I do want to emphasize is that the future is not one model, okay? It's a stack. What you're going to want to do is look at your platform data, right? What does Google and Meta claim? You're going to look at your MTA, so cross-channel touch points, right? How are these channels interacting with others? When I pull back spend on Meta, is Google revenue going down or is it going up? Which channel is actually generating that demand and those bottom of the funnel conversion events, right? An MTA is going to help you better understand that. Same thing with an MMM, spend versus revenue over time. That's what you're going to want to look over. Now, there's also GA4, right? So you could see your site behavior and you could view a lot of these cost inputs in there. But what I recommend doing is also potentially, depending on your program, having, a sheet going back to the good old manual days. It's super helpful to be able to see performance over time by day across your stakeholders' KPIs in order to really determine, am I performing or not? So if you're tired of guessing what's really driving sales or why Google and Meta never tell the same story, that's exactly what we fix over here. If you want to see how we actually structure Google campaigns to match smarter attribution, check out the next video. And last but not least, Last Click had its time. That time's over. If you want to compete in 2025, you need to see the entire picture, all right? So let's make sure you do. I believe in you.